Hello, I'm going to show some interesting new ways you can create web interfaces with version 11. In version 10, we introduced the Wolfram Cloud, a way to develop and deploy programs with the Wolfram language. It's true, you can write every part of a web interface yourself from the ground up, and we've made some of that easier in version 11 with things like generate HTTP response and URL dispatcher. But in version 11, we've also added more high-level, declarative ways to create interfaces. Form page is similar to form function, but instead of just showing the results, it keeps the form so you can keep interacting with it. Let's try it. So here we see the form, and let's try 3 sides. So now we see both the result and the form. With form function, you just get this triangle. Here with form page, we have the form itself, so we can view the result at the same time as we're entering more input, without having to hit the browser back button. So you can appreciate certain types of forms will lend themselves to this interface and certain to form function. Form function is good for something like an online poll. You want to accept inputs, show a result, and move on. Form page is good for letting a user kind of explore what changes in response to different inputs. Now along with this is the auto-submitting wrapper. This is useful if you want the form to update whenever a field is changed. So this is similar to the previous form, but we've got this auto-submitting wrapper around the interpreter specification. In this case, we've made it a slider that's restricted to a certain range of number of sides. Let's see how this works. So here we've got our slider. Pick a number of sides, and we can change it. Now you may be saying to yourself, big deal, form that draws a polygon, but that's not really the point, is it? The point is how little effort it took to produce this interface with all the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that gets generated for you. The point is to take your ideas and get them onto the web and into the hands of your users just as quickly. Let's look at something a bit different. This is a simple idea and something you definitely could do yourself, but it can be handy that it's already done for you. This gallery view symbol creates a browsable gallery of images. First, note that this is a simple cloud deploy of a gallery view expression, and there's a list of expressions here. You can just have a list like this, or you can have a title and labels for everything in an association. So let's look at the version that already has the title and labels. So there's a couple of things that are done automatically for you. One is it handles layout. It fits items onto a row depending on the page size. And 2, it handles pagination. In this case, there's so many polyhedra that we've got, it looks like 10 pages, and it's generated this pagination interface itself, and it's handling all that. That's a pretty nice set of features to be handled automatically. Next thing we'll look at is ask function. I think this is an incredibly neat idea. The way you use this is you write code like you would for form page or form function, but you sprinkle the code with ask wrappers. These go off to the user and collect information. It works really well with complicated problems where sometimes you need information only in certain cases and based on previous answers. And what better place to go for an example of something complicated than the US tax system. So this example plays accountant and attempts to tell you your marginal tax rate based on asking questions like your filing status and dependents and so on. So you can see in the code it starts by asking about filing status and gives a form function like input specification, and it continues with the calculation. And let's see, here is a yes or no question, do you have any dependents? And only if it gives a yes answer, then it's asking how many. So let's try this. Okay, so we're going to select our status, give an income level, say yes we have dependents, and they come cheaper by the dozen, so we're going to say 12, and it computes our answer. That is a pretty neat little web tool to come from this small an amount of code. So let's look at one last thing. So sometimes you don't know how many fields you're going to need for a form. The repeating element wrapper lets you have more than one of the same sort of field. In this example, we want to collect multiple addresses so we can create a map of travel directions. So in this case, we specify we want between 2 and 5 street addresses. This is an interpreter type using this repeating element wrapper. And what comes out when we generate the form is it automatically shows the minimum of 2 addresses, and then it has these plus and minus buttons that let the user add more or subtract one from its list of addresses. And finally, when you submit the form, you see the map of the trip. Again, all of this code you need to handle these various numbers of inputs is handled for you. And all of these tools and more are available in version 11 and let you get your applications online, hosted in the Wolfram Cloud with relatively very little code. Thank you.